Look around the room. We are all living in this very hour. The phone lights and hums. Headlines march across the glass. Lab numbers appear with red arrows. Market ticks flicker, as if the soul could be measured in points. And if that were not enough, cousins and colleagues forward their fear to make certain we adopt it as our own. That is the room of the world, and it bids for belief. It does not knock politely. It leans in and says, this is real, this is urgent, this is you. And before we know it, we are stroking the anxiety as though it were a pet, feeding it with our attention, rehearsing it in whispers at the sink, holding it against the chest like a fragile thing that must not be dropped. Let me tell you what it is we are petting. A hypnotist steps onto a stage, snaps his fingers, and says to a suggestible man, here is a beautiful white poodle. The gentleman smiles, reaches down, and begins to stroke nothing. He laughs, he coos, he dotes upon an emptiness. If the hypnotist suggests that the little dog is sick, the man trembles. If he says the dog is lost, the man weeps. The audience sees an empty lap. The bewitched one sees a poodle. Friends, the trouble is not a dog. The trouble is belief. So I begin with a kindness that may sound like a rebuke. Stop petting the white poodle. Wake up. Do not argue with appearances. Do not wrangle with them as if they could hear you or as if your louder voice could chase them away. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Be still and know that I am God. Not be noisy and prove that you are right. Be still and know that God is. That is the pivot. The audience does not heal the man's poodle. The audience awaits the word that lifts the suggestion, and then everyone laughs, because there never was a dog at all. God is omnipresence. Therefore, there is no corner of this room where God is not. God is omniscience. Therefore, no headline carries more wisdom than the mind that is your life. God is omnipotence. Therefore, no algorithm of fear is power over you. If God is, what is this shrill whisper at the edge of your heart? It is suggestion borrowing your faith to become a fact. Withdraw the loan, not by closing eyes to the world, but by opening the inner eye to the word. Lo, I am with you unto the end of the world. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Here is my promise to you, and we shall prove it. A simple spiritual pivot, a daily brief turning, not to a better argument, not to a stronger ego, but to the realized fact that God is that pivot, dissolves the fear around news, health, and finances lightly as morning vapor leaves the field. We will not pet the poodle. We will wake, and in waking, find that peace was already present, waiting only to be recognized. Now let us make the turn, and it will feel like a small turn of the head, though it is the recentering of the universe. Many of us have lived in the cul-de-sac of bright metaphysical language. I am spiritual. I am perfect. I am fearless until a siren sounds or a headline shouts, and then the knees knock. If you are so spiritual and so perfect, what do you want prayer for? Human beings walking around with eyeglasses and overdue notices, murmuring, I am harmonious. A rescue. Stop trying to perfume the human self with sacred words. Stop putting a halo on the hypnotized man. Not a stronger I am. Awaken to what God is and let that reality bear witness as your experience. God is. God is life indivisible, deathless, present as the only animating principle of being. God is light, understanding, illumination, the mind that knows its way without consulting the weather or the markets. God is law, self-enforcing order, not subject to repeal by opinion polls or algorithms. God is omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. Then let language follow heaven's order. Not I am wealthy, but the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Not I am safe, but God is my refuge and my fortress. Under his wings will I trust. Not I am wise, but there is that mind in me which was also in Christ Jesus. Do you feel the weight shifting? We are moving the government from a frightened ego to the kingdom within. The refrain that answers your heart is not the pep talk of personality. It is the presence speaking. I, in the midst of you, am mighty, mighty to reveal, mighty to sustain, mighty to be itself as you. When the Master said, I can of my own self do nothing, he was cutting the nerve of personal boasting and opening the channel for the Father that doeth the works. Hear that in you. My doctrine is not mine. My sufficiency is of God. This is not humiliation. It is liberation from the little actor who forgets there is a stage and a playwright. Now, for a moment, turn within, not to imagine a better you, but to acknowledge a present God. Be still and let these words settle. God is. God is here, even now. God is the life of my life, the mind of my mind, the law of my universe. Lo, I am with you always. Fear not. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Do not argue with shadows. Withdraw belief from the white poodle and rest in the infinite invisible. Then watch, without strain, how the fact that God is begins to appear as clarity, timing, provision, serenity as you. We have turned within. Now let us ask, who set that white poodle on the stage? In spiritual language, hypnotism is suggestion that has captured attention so completely that illusion feels factual. It does not create reality. It borrows your gaze, your reverence, and with that borrowed light, it throws a shadow and calls it truth. Behold a threat, it says, and because we behold, we tremble. Here is sickness, here is shortage, here is upheaval. And if we treat those whispers as oracles, we enroll as disciples in a church of fear. But hear the ancient whisper cutting through. Let God be true, and every man a liar. Let God be the measure, and suggestions lose their pulpits. In our day, the hypnotist does not wear a cape. He wears a push alert. He chirps from a pocket and flashes across a wrist. He paints graphs that prophesy tomorrows as if the living God consulted a trend line. He lines 3 pundits in a row to harmonize a dirge. He drapes a red banner with breaking over a rumor and repeats it until repetition mimics reality. Prognosis charts, pundit prophecies, algorithmic nudges, these are suggestions demanding reverence. They want you to bow, to bring incense to the altar of the screen. Do you see? Most fear is suggestion wearing the costume of fact. Its power is not its own. It is borrowed from our belief. Without our nod, it is paper without ink. The ancients told it simply, in the dusk, a man sees a snake and leaps back. In the lamp's light, the rope smiles at his fright. 2 rails appear to meet in the distance. Walk the track and you will never find the wedding. At the sea, Moses heard, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, and the waters that looked like an iron wall yielded to a path that already was, in each case, no combat, no shouting at snakes, no lawsuit with the horizon, only light, only stillness, only the uncovering of what is. You do not heal a shadow, you recognize the sun. Here is the rule that governs your news feed and your nerves. What you reverence, you reinforce. What you withdraw belief from dissolves as mist before the morning. The altar of your attention belongs to God alone. Not I fear the market, but God is my source and my sufficiency. Not I dread the report, but God is life and law, the health of my countenance. We are not arguing with data. We are giving it back its proper status as moving pictures on a wall. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Perfect love casteth out fear. Withdraw the loan of belief. Let the present say within you, I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Then the push alert becomes a passing bird, not a commander. The graph becomes a line on paper, not a line on your soul. God is. God is light. Therefore, suggestion is unmasked. God is omniscience. Therefore, no pundit counsels your destiny. God is omnipotence. Therefore, no algorithm governs your peace. Stand still in that and watch the costume fall from fear. Now we come to the working edge of this truth, and it will save you years of struggle if you will let it. Do not argue with error. Do not stand in the theater shouting at the screen. Do not take the white poodle by the scruff and preach to it. The master gave the method in a sentence that offended the zeal of well-meaning disciples. Resist not evil, not because evil is to be coddled, but because what you resist you acknowledge, what you fight you feed, what you behold as power you enthrone. Ye shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord. Not another polished sword, not another manifesto, but standing still in the realized fact that God is. The practical move is quiet and firm. Turn from the picture to presence. Let the picture be there if it wishes. Refuse it authority, not by opposing error, but by beholding God, not by human will, but by silent recognition, not by tightening the jaw, but by relaxing into the infinite invisible that is the life of your life. Close your eyes for a moment when the pulse jumps and say within, not as a charm, but as a recognition, God is. God is the light here. Therefore, I need not light a candle at the altar of fear. God is the law here. Therefore, no suggestion can legislate for me. God is life here. Therefore, death talk has no jurisdiction. And then be still, and know that I am God. Let those words speak themselves in you until the inner air clears. We have made the mistake of combative spirituality, trying to fix illusions, trying to heal shadows, and then wondering why the room fills up with smoke. You do not heal fog with a stick. You wait and behold the sun, and the fog discloses its nothingness. So when the report shouts, when the symptom insists, when the bank number frowns, do not throw stones at the picture. Turn within and let the presence announce itself. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Lo, I am with you unto the end of the world. Hear that, and watch how the picture, starved of your belief, thins out to the nothing from which it boasted. This is not passivity, this is authority. The authority that says with the master, I can of mine own self do nothing, and in that nothingness admits the all that does the works. The seer is free when the seer remembers the seer's light. The picture loses hypnosis when you withdraw the loan of your credence and stand in what God is: omnipresence as the only presence, omniscience as the only mind, omnipotence as the only power. Then action, if any is required, will flow clean. A phone call made without fear, a doctor's visit without dread, a business decision without panic, because it is not reaction to a shadow, but expression of the one who governs. Put the sword back into its sheath. Look within. Look to me. Not I am winning over error, but God is the only presence here. Rest there and let the show go on without your applause. In that quiet, the spell breaks and you find yourself already home. Now let us do what we have been speaking of. Not tomorrow, not after we tidy the room of thoughts, but now. Pause. Close the outer door of thought, shut it gently, as the Master said, enter thy closet and shut the door and let the breath come home. A slow in-breath, a soft out-breath. Let the shoulders drop as if someone had just taken the weight you were not designed to carry. Say within, not loudly, not to persuade, but to recognize there is an I here, not the I of ego, not the personal actor with its trophies and terrors. There is an I here that is presence, that is life, that is law. Hear it whisper with the voice that has always known you. I in the midst of you am mighty. Let the inner voice speak for itself. You do not have to wind it up. You do not have to make it holy. Be still. Be still and know that I am God. Now listen. Fear not. I am with thee. I am the life, the law, the light of your being. Lo, I am with you unto the end of the world. I am your wisdom when your mind is busy. I am your peace where the waters seem troubled. I am your sufficiency where numbers jangle. I am the health of your countenance and your God. Rest. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me, he doeth the works. Let these words rise and fall inside like the tide touching the shore and receding, leaving the sand clean. Anchor the awareness with a simple litany and do not hurry. God is presence now, so nothing is absent. God is intelligence now, so no counsel is lacking. God is sufficiency now, so no lack is legitimate. God is law now, so no suggestion legislates against you. God is life now, so no shadow speaks for you. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Let the cadence wash through every room of consciousness. God is, God is, God is. Do not try to see results. See God. Not I am making this happen, but God is the happening here. Feel it. Hear it as if the friend had leaned close enough for you to feel the warmth. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Stand still in that. Another breath in, another breath out. Now, open your eyes or look again at what you were looking at and notice the picture is no longer your master. The headline is a line, the symptom a report, the number a figure, but the spell is broken because belief has returned to its source. In 1 minute of communion, you have moved government back to the center. Keep this minute near. Carry it into the day like a key. Whenever the white poodle parades, pause, close the door, breathe, and let the inner eye speak. You will find the presence there before you arrive, and in that presence, freedom is the fact. Now take this same seeing and let it touch the place where the world trains us to stare the body. We have been body watchers, haven't we? Counting the beats, weighing the ounces, consulting 3 mirrors and 2 search engines, keeping company with a thermometer as if it were a prophet. And then, when the picture frowns, we begin to argue with it. I am healed, I am strong, I am perfect, until a twinge answers back and our confession turns thin. Dear heart, we are still petting the white poodle when we make a project of flesh. Health does not come by polishing Adam. Health is witnessed when we stop trying to fix matter and begin to realize life. I am the Lord that healeth thee. Not, I am the man healing himself. The Lord is the healing one. The Lord is the health of my countenance and my God. Let us move the gaze from organs and outcomes to God as the only life that is. So we correct the language because we are correcting the lens. Not I am healed, but God is wholeness. God is the life of this being. God is the law of this temple. God is light in every cell. Intelligence ordering function without consulting fear. God is omnipresence. Therefore, there is no other presence here to invade, inflame, or decay. God is omnipotence. Therefore, no name, Latin or popular, carries jurisdiction. We have given long, mournful reverence to names and narratives. Grandfather had it. The neighbor caught it. The article says it, but they are suggestions wearing a stethoscope. The hypnotist has only changed costumes. Now the white poodle wears a lab coat. When light is turned on, the rope is a rope again. When God is acknowledged as life, the fright in the room reveals its emptiness. He sent his word and healed them, not a pill of syllables, but the realized word that God is life, the only life, the life you are not making, but witnessing. Make the practice immediate. When a symptom knocks, do not run about rearranging furniture. Close the inner door. Be still and let the present speak for itself. Fear not, I am with thee. I seven the life of thy life. I, in the midst of thee, am mighty. I can of mine own self do nothing, and in that yieldedness the Father that doeth the work stands revealed as the only actor. Resist not the report. Withdraw belief from it. Do not argue with pain. Do not flatter it with a duel. Stand still and know. Rest the mind in the fact. God is life here. God is law here. God is the health of this countenance. As fear drains, function clarifies. You will notice that breath remembers its rhythm, that thought unfurls from panic into poise, that action, if wise action is needed, appears unforced, a call placed quietly, a rest taken without guilt, a treatment received without dread, because we are no longer trying to will a change. We are witnessing the Word becoming flesh. Let this be your gentle rule. Stop watching the body. Start knowing God. Not I am making health, but the Lord is my life. Not I am overcoming disease, but I am the resurrection and the life sounding within this very temple. Look to me. Look within. The white poodle has no pulse, only life lives. In the realized presence of that life, health is not a prize wrestled from shadows. It is the simple sign that God is being God as you. Carry this same seeing into the scroll that tries to carry you the feed, the ticker, the chirons that flare red as if panic were a sacrament. You will be tempted to run, to rant, to recruit others to your version of alarm. But hear the word given at the water's edge when walls of sea mocked forward movement. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Standing still is not paralysis. It is poised awareness. It is withdrawing belief from the stampede, anchoring in the infinite invisible, and letting God be the governor of perception before any hand reaches for the forward button, before any tongue recruits a tribe. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as the algorithm trades. Make a new habit. Read the headline if you must, but do not grant it priestly robes. Look within at once. Close the inward door and listen until a subtler authority speaks. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. I govern. Not the pole, not the graph, not the trend line I govern. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Let that sentence rest where the adrenaline had been. God is omniscience. Therefore there is no counsel wiser than the mind that is your life. God is omnipresence. Therefore no crisis is outside the reach of the presence that is here. God is omnipotence. Therefore no spin is power. We are not trusting forecasts. We are trusting presence. We are not bowing to momentum. We are beholding the one that moves without hurry and guides without noise. This shift is practical. Out of quiet, the next right step rises like a path the sea had been covering. Sometimes it is a prayer without words. Sometimes it is a call to a neighbor. Sometimes it is a vote cast cleanly. Sometimes it is an article not shared. Sometimes it is an offering given. Sometimes it is the silence that refuses to multiply fear. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, and ask here, in this now, where the counselor already abides. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that doeth the works will do the works as wisdom, as timing, as protection, as speech that is gentle and strong. Notice what is missing in this way. No bile, no tribal hypnosis, no performance of righteousness to be seen of men. Be still and know that I am God, and then move, if movement is given, with the steadiness of that knowing. Not I am informed above others, but the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Therefore, I do not panic to protect what God already governs. Not I am fixing the world with opinions, but God is light, and in his light we see light. Therefore, my seeing clears, my tone softens, my step steadies. Let this be your covenant with your screen. You may pass before my eyes, but you may not govern my heart. The altar of my attention belongs to God. Look to me, look within. In that communion, the white poodle of media momentum runs out of leash, and omniscience, quiet and sure, becomes the compass of your day. Now let us let this same quiet government touch the ledger in the pantry, for here, perhaps more than anywhere, the white poodle tries to look like a wolf. The screen blinks, a balance, a bill date circles itself in red, a projection whispers winter is coming, and at once the old catechism starts up. I must, I should, I have to hurry, clutch, calculate. Dear one, stop. Do not pet the poodle of shortage. Not I am wealthy, but the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Not I must make it happen, but God is source. God is substance. God is the law of circulation, appearing as idea, as opportunity, as timing, as bread in a very ordinary basket. Listen to the manna principle, not as history, but as present law. Enough for the day appears when attention abides in presence, not in projections. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us this day, not next year's panic plan, not a storehouse of fear disguised as prudence this day, the bread that is God's own selfhood unfolding as what is needed when it is needed, where it is needed. In the wilderness it was called manna. In your life it may be called a client, a refund, a job done quietly that ripens into favor, a cancellation that frees you for the real assignment, an idea that solves what effort could not. He that gathered much had nothing over. He that gathered little had no lack. Each found sufficiency where the presence was obeyed. Make the language serve the law. Not I must get supply, but God is my supply. Not I hope something turns, but God is already fullness, revealing itself as avenues. God is omnipresence. Therefore, supply is not far off, not in the right city, not trapped behind a gate. God is omniscience. Therefore, ideas rise without sweat when fear is hushed. God is omnipotence. Therefore, no market, no memo, no policy has power to bar what the Father would reveal as your portion. Seek first the kingdom, seek first this inner communion, and all these things are added as the natural byproduct of God being God where you are. Practice this before the bills, not after the panic. Lay them on the table if you wish, but lay your heart on the altar. Close the door within and be still. God is. God is the fullness here. God is the law of adjustment. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Hear the friend within speak. Fear not. I am with thee. I in the midst of thee am mighty. I am thy sufficiency in all things. Wait until the clutching unwinds. Then act. If action is given, send the invoice, make the call, accept the task, release the scheme that smells of strain, do the next right thing as one governed, not grabbed. You will find that guidance comes like a quiet hand on your shoulder, and provision comes like dew rather than thunder. Refuse the shortcuts panic advertises. The hypnotist offers hurry as savior, quick percentages, loud promises, anxious bargains, but these are white poodles wearing gold collars. Withdraw belief. Our reliance is not on the finite, not on a patron, not on a resume. Our reliance is on the infinite invisible. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. My God shall supply all your need, not by begging at the back door of the universe, but by standing as the place where God's fullness is expressing itself without interruption. So bring the ledger back under the government that is upon his shoulder. Say it softly and mean it. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. I will not bow to numbers on a screen. I will behold source. Look to me, look within. In that communion, provision ceases to be a chase and becomes recognition. The fullness already is, and it will show itself as surely as morning follows night, as gently as manna melts into a day that trusts. Let us take the next honest step, because the same mind that panics over bread also trembles over bolts and headlines. Upon what or upon whom are we relying for safety? Is it the lock, the law firm, the camera, the policy, or is it the infinite invisible? Is the steel plate the protection, or is the word of God the protection? Do not hear me say, throw away your doors. Hear me say, move the government. Not I am protected because I have more iron, more passwords, more contacts, but God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. God is. God is the presence that is presence, and where presence is recognized, fear loses its throne. Take the Psalms out of the hymn book and let them walk your hallway. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. Under his wings shalt thou trust. Feel how those are not decorations for stained glass. They are descriptions of reality when the inner eye is honored. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Hear it, mighty as shield, mighty as light in a dark lane, mighty as wisdom in a courtroom, mighty as calm in a crowded terminal. Be still and know that I am God. Be still long enough to let the fortress form where it always was within. Here is the practice, and it will put your feet on solid ground. Before you dial, before you bar the door, before you copy the file to 6 drives, close the inner door, look within and listen for the governor. Fear not, I am with thee. I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Let the heart unclench. Then, if a lock is to be set, set it. If counsel is to be sought, seek it. If a route is to be changed, change it. But do it as one who moves from presence, not from panic. The means become instruments instead of idols. They are used, not worshipped. Our reliance is in the infinite invisible. The visible then falls into right order. And the outcome? Safety is known as presence, not purchased as paraphernalia. You will discover a climate that travels with you, the peace that keeps, the alertness that foresees, the wisdom that answers without heat. Not I am safer than others, but God is my refuge and my fortress. In him will I trust. God is omnipresence, nothing outside to invade what is within. God is omniscience, no surprise outruns the mind that is your life. God is omnipotence, no threat carries a power God forgot. Look to me, look within. In that reliance, the white poodle of fear trots out and finds no hand to pet it. And in the stillness, you know the rock beneath your feet. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Make a simple rule and keep it tenderly. Never let a day pass without quiet communion, and never wait for a cathedral hour to do it. Many short silences are better than long neglect. Pray without ceasing is not a taxing marathon. It is a string of moments in which mind and breath come home, and the inner eye takes the chair again. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. We are not adding piety. We are switching governments, returning attention to the infinite invisible so that seeing becomes sure, and steps, when taken, are taken from presence, not from pressure. Let the day be studded with cues. Before the news opens, close the inner door. God is here. I am listening. Before the reply sends, God is here. I am listening. Before the purchase, the meeting, the call, the crossing of a threshold, God is here. I am listening. At the sink while water runs, at the red light while the city fidgets, in the elevator's hush, at the pillow's edge, one breath, one inner bow, and hear it. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Watch and pray, not as duty, but as delight, because in these small acknowledgments the spell of appearances drops away and the governor speaks. Mind your language, for words are the reins of attention. Retire the I am boasting and the I am despairing together. Both feed the same small actor. Not I am efficient. God is intelligence ordering this task. Not I am overwhelmed. God is peace at the center now. Not I am going to nail this. God is the activity and the outcome here. Not I am anxious about tomorrow. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Keep a quiet litany near your lips and nearer your heart. God is presence. God is law. God is life. God is sufficiency. Let results be demonstrations, not declarations. Make this a community practice. Tell the white poodle story at the breakfast table and in the break room, not to mock, but to unmask. Do not argue with a friend's fear. Do not scold a child's worry. Say gently, let's be still a minute. God is here. We are listening. Resist not evil. Withdraw belief. Where two or three are gathered in this name, illusion thins and courage rises without noise. Let them meet the inner friend for themselves and hear, lo, I am with you alway. This is the day the Lord hath made. Seed it with pauses, and it will bloom in guidance. Short silences, sure seeing. A dozen moments of communion will teach your eyes to find God before petting pictures. Be still and know that I am God. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. All these short silences have a consequence, and it is the sweetest consequence you will ever know. They begin a death, not a funeral for your life, but a burial for the picture and ending of the hypnotized little actor that has been auditioning for the role of you. Paul said, I die daily. He did not mean the extinguishing of soul. He meant the loosening of that tight fist called self-will, the melting of the mask that says, I will be, I will fix, I will save. We are not killing a person. We are waking from a dream. We are laying down the white poodle and refusing to pet it 1 minute more. He that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. Lose the picture. Find the presence. This dying is effortless when you stop asserting and start beholding. Not I am joyful. I am peaceful. I am victorious. Look at me and my good mood, but God is joy radiating his countenance without a speech about it. God is peace, seated in the belly of your day without a banner. God is life, not as declaration, but as pulse that keeps time with heaven. When the government shifts, you will not need to say, I am happy. It will show on your face. You will not have to insist, I am guided. Your timing will arrive like a train that has never missed its schedule. The word becomes flesh when the word is God, not when words are yours. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Hear the cadence, not I, but Christ. Not I am, but God is. There is a wedding in this, and it is not announced in a hall. It happens in the closet where you have shut the door. The human will stands, trembles, and bows. Thy will be done. The inner eye meets your yielded listening, and the two are one. Call it the mystical wedding, the marriage to Christ within. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Lo, I am with you alway. This communion between the two is the Holy Ghost, the bond and the breath. And out of it a new name writes itself quietly across the heart. You are no longer the caretaker of a separate life. You are the place where God shows himself. Then watch the weather and learn your mountain. Headlines pass like showers, symptoms scud by like clouds, accounts brighten and dim like the hours between dawn and dusk. But you are founded on rock. Whoso heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock, and the winds came, and the floods rose, and the house stood. That is identity resting in God. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. The mountain is not moved by weather. The self is not moved by pictures. Let this be your dying, and it will be your rising. Every time the picture asks for a stroke under its chin, withdraw belief and look within. Not I, but the Father within me. He doeth the works. God is presence. God is law. God is life. God is sufficiency. Stand there until the inner voice answers your stillness. Fear not, I am with thee. In that answer, the old actor has no lines left, and you God as you walk out into the day without announcement, without strain, and with the quiet triumph of the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now let the presence that has been whispering through these minutes take the full word and let it be heard as near as breath. Look to me, look within. I am thy light, thy law, thy life. Fear not, I am with thee. I in the midst of thee am mighty. I am thy wisdom in the hour that asks for counsel. I am thy peace where the waters had been troubled. I am thy sufficiency where numbers made their noise. Be still and know that I am God. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I am with you unto the end of the world. Hear it again until it settles into the very bones of attention. Lo, I am with you always, not as a visiting angel at crises, but as the life of your life, the law of your being, the light by which you see. Do not strain to carry me. Let me carry you. Not I am managing God. God is governing me. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Rest here before the day asks its questions. Rest here when the headline shouts. Rest here as the room darkens and the street quiets. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now go, not as one sent into a wilderness alone, but as one accompanied by the companion who cannot depart. Carry this seeing into headlines. Stand still, listen, then move. Carry it into clinics. Stand still, listen, then move. Carry it into bank lobbies and boardrooms and kitchen tables. Stand still, listen, then move. Let decisions come out of communion. Let speech be formed out of silence. Let steps be taken from the center, not from the swirl at the edges. My sheep hear my voice, and hearing, they follow without hurry and without fear. If you would ask for a single banner to carry, let it be this: not I am, but God is. God is presence, therefore nothing is absent. God is law, therefore nothing is lawless. God is life, therefore no shadow owns your breath. God is light, in his light you see light, and the way becomes plain. God is sufficiency, therefore you are held, guided, supplied. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. In that fullness, your path will open like the sea before the staff, not by panic, but by presence, recognized. So go in this peace and let the friend speak as often as breath itself. Look to me, look within. I am thy light, thy law, thy life. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I am with you unto the end of the world. Walk with the inner eye as companion and governor, and watch the white poodle vanishes. Only God is, God is, God is.